So in this case, we are going to consider paper 2 of our June 2026 revision. All right, so this is for our ZIMSEC revisions, all right, for those who wrote this paper and for those who are preparing for the other examinations. So we are going to quickly go through the questions. So make sure you download the question paper. I'm going to put that one in the comment section so that you can download the question paper, go through the instructions and information that you're given. So we do understand that in section A, you are supposed to answer all the questions that you're given, which is out of 52 marks. All right, so answer all questions in this section. 1A, you were given the set of information, the set R, which is subsets, all right? So these are subsets of what? Of the set R. So meaning to say the set R is actually just like the mother set, all right? So this is our mother set, which is the universal set, all right? So R is the set of all real numbers. So that is the real numbers. We have all, in this case, all rational and irrational numbers. All rational and what? Irrational numbers. So that is the set that you're going to consider of the real numbers, all right? So that is rational and irrational numbers in that set. So it is the mother set, as we are given the set Q is the set of what? Rational numbers. Remember, rational numbers are those numbers that can be expressed as a fraction A over B, where these are whole numbers. So you can have 2 over 3 whole numbers, 2 minus 3 integers. We can consider those as what? As rational numbers. Then E is the set of even numbers. So this one is even numbers. All right, so such as 2, 4, 6, and so on. Then P is a set of prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, divisible by 1 and itself. All right, those are prime numbers. So the question here was to draw a Venn diagram to show the relationship of the sets R, Q, E, and P. So remember that R is the universal set, that is our mother set. It consists it carries these sets Q, E, and what? And P. So we can just have that one as our universal set so that we do not have a lot of presentation here. So we are going to indicate the universal set as the set what? As the set R. So that is our universal set. So Q is rational numbers. So take note, even numbers, prime numbers are rational numbers. They can be expressed in the form what? A over B. These are rational what? These are rational numbers that we are referring to. They can be expressed in the form A over what? In the form of A over B, all right? In this form, 2 over 1, that's 4 over 1. Everything can be expressed as a fraction, all right? So if we consider that between these two sets, E and P, we can see that 2 is common. 2 is an even number, and also 2 is a prime number. So meaning to say there is an intersection between these two sets, E and what? And P. There is an intersection, that number 2, which is common. It is going to be part of what? The intersection of what? E and P. So there are elements which are there in set E and other elements in P which are different, but we can see that there's an intersection, all right? But we said these two, they are rational numbers, E and P. So meaning to say E and P is found in what? In Q as a subset. So we are going to have the set Q, all right, covering these two sets because they consist of what? Rational numbers, in what? In Q. So Q becomes the mother set of these two sets, or it contains these two sets. All right. So that was the simple application that you can simply apply the set Q, but inside the set Q, there are two sets which are intersecting E and what? E and P intersecting, and this is our set Q, and R being the mother set. That was the easier path that we can use. All right. So B, you are given. All right. This is okay. I think it's 11. This is 8 minus X. This is 7. This is X. This is 6. 4 plus X. 9 minus X. All right. So given this is A and this is B and this is set C. So you're given in the Venn diagram, the number of elements in each subset is shown. All right. We do not have that rectangle outside. That is, all the elements are given here, all of them. So item 1, find the number of elements in set B. So set B, this is our set B. Just close up that set, add everything inside. That is the number of elements in what? In set B. So that was the item 1, number of elements in set B, add everything. So there is what? The 8 minus X, there is a 7, you add that. There is a 6 here, there is X. Everything that is inside what? Inside the set of B. So add those elements, all right? This is paper 2, use calculators, all right? So that was going to be equal to minus X plus X cancels. Then you add the numbers 8 plus 7 plus 6. Use a calculator for that. All right. So that was going to give us what? 8 plus 7 plus 6. That is 21. So number of elements in set B is what? 21. All right. Item 2. Given that the number of elements in set A, all right, this set A is what? 23. Find X. So everything in set what? In set A, all right, we are considering set A. In this case, we are going to close set A. This is our set A, this one. You close that set, add everything, then you equate to what? To the given number 23. So that was the idea of answering this question. Add everything in set A. There is what? 11. There is 8 minus X. You add 8 minus X. There is what? There is X. There is 9 minus X. You add everything. Equate to the number of elements 23 in that set A. So that is it. You have formed an equation that you can solve for X. All right, so let us cancel this minus X plus X cancels. Add these numbers, 11 plus 8 plus 9. That was going to give us 28. So that's 28 minus X, which is equal to 23. Let us solve for X. This is a linear equation. Take 28 to the other hand is going to be minus 28. So minus X is equal to 23 minus 28, which is what? Minus 5. So to find the value of X, simply divide by the negative. So X was going to be equal to 5. So that is it. Then item 3, the number of elements in A complement intersection B intersection C. All right, let's try to figure out that part that we are given. This is A. All right, according to what we're given, this is A, B, C. So that is A, B, C. So the first part here we're given A complement. What is not in A? What is outside of set A? So this is our A complement. I'm going to indicate this is our A complement. What is not in what? In A, outside of set A. Intersection B intersection C. So this one, B intersection C, is this part. The intersection of B and C in between here, B and C. This is the intersection of what? B and C. So where do we have this intersection? Intersecting to A complement. Intersecting to what? To A complement. That is where these two meet, the black and the green, this here. in this part. So this is the section that you're going to need, this section or this region from our diagram, this region. This is the region that we are seeing up here. This is the region, right? Let me do this. All right. So this is the region that we are seeing here in between this one, where there is what? 6. So that is the number of elements inside there is what? Is 6. Okay, so that was it for this part. Okay, so that was what you are given. Let's consider 2. All right, 2A. The diagram shows the sector. All right, that's a sector here of a circle A or B. That's a piece of a circle. Radius what? 7 centimeters, center O, and the angle A or B 36. Take pi to be 22/7. Calculate item 1 perimeter of the sector, or all right, A or B, this sector here. So the perimeter is simply the sum of what these sides from O to A, all right, which is the radius, plus A to B, which is the arc length. The arc length, arc AB, plus B to what? B to O. That is the distance right round the shape. So this represents a radius, and this is also a radius. So you can simply add r plus r is what? Is 2r plus the arc length, which is the arc length of what? AB. So that was how we're going to find the perimeter. All right. Where the arc length, you know how to calculate the arc length from the length of a circle, which is what? The perimeter, the circumference of a circle, 2 pi r. So that arc length is a fraction of what? This angle that we are given. So it is going to be theta over what? Theta over 360 degrees times what? The circumference of a circle, since we are talking about the arc of a circle. So that's 2 pi r. So that was the formula that you're going to use. And with this formula, you can simply substitute what you are given. So the perimeter is going to be 2 times the radius. Remember, our radius is what? 7 centimeters, plus theta, which is the angle of what? The sector, 36 degrees. So that's 36 degrees over 300 and what? 360 degrees times 2 pi r. 2 times our pi is what? 22/7. 22/7 times the radius. Our radius, remember, it is what? 7 centimeters. So this here is calculated separately. All right. So you multiply this one, 2 times 7, that is 14. Then we add to the resultant that you're going to obtain here. This is same as over 1 over 1. So we can cancel 36 into 36, 1, and into 0. That's a 0 here. 7, 7 cancels. So you multiply 2 times 22. That is 44. So you're going to have 44 over what? Over 10. 44 over 10, which is what? 4,4. So that's 4,4. Add to 14. 14 and 4. That's 18,4. So it was going to give us what? 18,4 centimeters perimeter. Same the units that you're given in what? In centimeters. So that was it. Then the area, you simply use the same concept, but this time area you consider, all right? It's not going to be distance right round the shape, but you take the area as the piece of the circle. The area of a circle is what? Pi r squared. So a sector is a piece of a circle. This one, it's a piece that we have taken. So its area is going to be taken from the angle theta over what? 360 degrees times the area of a circle, from where we are taking what? The area, pi r squared. So that's it. Theta, the angle, 36 over what? 360 degrees. All right, you can indicate those degrees, or just write 360 here, times our pi. Take the given pi, 22/7 times r squared. R squared simply means r times r. So you can write 7 times 7 if you want. 7 times 7 to represent what? R squared. Or you can write 7 squared. So this is the area of the sector. All right, just like before, 36 into 36, 1, 1 here, 0, 7, and 7 was going to cancel. So let's multiply 22 times 7. Guys, this is paper 2. Use calculator there. So 22 times 7 is going to give us 154 over this 10. So divide on your calculator, that's 15,4. Area in what? Square units. So that's square centimeters, all right? So that was simply what you're going to consider as the area, all right? Let's move on to the other part, B. You are given this time the solid, which is of a cylinder. All right, so you're given this is what? A cylinder, where we have got the radius and what? The height. That's the properties of a cylinder. So you're given the radius of that cylinder is 5 centimeters, the height is what? 8 centimeters. Take pi to be 3.14 to use the given value of pi. Calculate the volume of the cylinder. So remember, guys, this is a cylinder, so you consider the base area. The base area is what? A circle. This is what you have on the base. So that's a what? A circle. So base area times what? Height. That's our volume. So volume is base area times height. So area of a circle is what? Pi r squared times what? Height. So that's pi r squared h. This is what? Volume of a cylinder. Pi is what? 3,142 times the radius squared. Our radius is 5. You square it. 5 times 5 times the height of what? 8. Use your calculator. This is paper 2. That was going to give us the volume of 628,4 volume in what? Cubic units. All right, so that was it for the volume. Then another question, it is what the total surface area. It is all about the formulas. Total surface area on item 2 is this area and this area. There are two circles. So area of two circles, that's 2 pi r squared. Area of two circles plus the curved surface, which is 2 pi r h. All right, so that's it. So this is the formula that you're going to simply use 2 times pi 3,142 times radius squared, 5 squared. So this is for the two circles. Then you add to the one of the curved 2 times pi, 3,142 times the radius, which is what? 5 centimeters, times the height, which is what? 8, like that. So you're going to combine these two. The first one being in what? In square centimeters, 157,1. And the second one was going to give us 251,36. So add properly on your calculator. That's 408, what? 46 square centimeters. This is area in square units. All right. So that was what you are given, as we can see, straightforward. Then B, this is number 3, sorry. This is question number 3. Part A, you are given part of the bearing. The bearing of A from what? From B, from. You indicate from that point, all right? So you indicate from that point, from B. So this is where our B is, all right? So this is a 3-figure bearing from the north in a clockwise direction. So that's 90, 180, 270. 280 is greater than what? 270. So that is where you're going to have what? Your bearing here, like the angle of 200 and what? 280 degrees from what? From B, from B. So this is the north pole of what? Of B. All right, the north pole of B in a clockwise direction. So where we are going to meet, where we're going to reach here is where the point A is. So that's the north pole of point A. So the question here is to find what? The 3-figure bearing of B from A, from A. That is from A, the north, in a clockwise direction. This is the angle that you need to determine. All right. So remember this was what? 280 degrees. How can we determine this angle? This is the one that we need. We can use the concept of what? Parallel lines, as these two lines are parallel to each other. So that is the angle that we are asked to determine, this one, and the angle here at B, this one, they are equal. All right, which concept? These are alternate angles where we form a Z. So that's what that one is, a straight Z. Alternate angles are equal. Remember, Z, alternate angles. Alternate angles. So meaning to say we can find this angle as we have got the 280 degrees. We know that we can have, from the 280 degrees, we can subtract the what? The 180 degrees of a straight line. So minus 180, that is going to give us 100 degrees. So this angle is 100 degrees, which is the same as this one, 100 degrees. Those are alternate angles which form a Z. So it's just a straight Z that is being what? Formulated. So that was it on this part. All right. So the answer there is simply 100 degrees, the three-figure bearing. All right. Let us move on to part B of our question 3. This is part B, circle geometry. We are given this circle. So I told you guys, whenever you're answering circle geometry, read the information, apply the information on the diagram. The diagram shows points A, B, C, D, which are on the circumference of a circle. Center O. So O is the what? Is the center. There are so many theorems from that concept of a what? A center. All right. A line that is drawn from the circumference to the center is the radius. All right, from the circumference passing through the center to the other end of the circumference is a diameter. And this diameter subtends an angle of 90 degrees at the circumference. So meaning to say the angle at B and the angle at D will be what? 90 degrees automatically from this idea of what? The diameter subtending an angle of 90 degrees at the circumference. So these are theorems that are being taken from what? From knowing the properties of what? Of a diameter. Also, like I said, from A to O, that is a radius. From D to O, that's what? A radius. From O to C, that's a radius. So these sides are equal. This one O to D, this one O to A, they are equal. O to C equal. So from that, in a triangle ADO, in this triangle, the angles that are opposite these sides, the angle D and the angle A, automatically will be what? Will be equal. So this angle that is at A and the angle, this one, the piece of D, the angle, this part of D, this one, are equal. All right, so many theorems that you can consider from there. All right, another part that you're given is the angle that is 76 degrees at what? At O, AOD. That is the angle that we're given. And the line AB is parallel to the line DO. AB and DO, they are parallel. So taking this AO, which is our transversal line, we can see that we are forming alternate angles as Z is being formed from these two parallel lines. So this angle at A and the angle at what? At O will be equal. So this angle that is at A here, this one is 76 degrees automatically. Alternate what? Alternate angles. Okay, so this is what you're given. Find from that item 1, BAC, angle BAC. So the angle BAC is one that we need on item 1. On item 1, angle BAC. So that's BAC. We have already indicated that it is what? 76 degrees from what? Alternate angles concept. From what? Alternate angles concept. Since AB is parallel to DO. So we can use that alternate angles concept. All right. Another question, item 2, ADO. Angle what? ADO. All right. ADO. That is D to O, this angle here. So remember this angle and the angle at O, they are equal. So that angle, it is the same as the angle DAO, right? You can write it as what? DAO. They are the same. So you can simply consider angles in a triangle. Remember, angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Subtract one angle that is inside the given triangle, which is what? 76 degrees. Whatever that you're going to obtain, divide by 2. As these two angles, they are equal. So you have to divide by what? You have to divide by 2. So that was it. So using this concept, 180 minus 76, that's 104. Then divide by 2, that is going to be what? 52 degrees. So the angle that we have here is what? 52 degrees, and this one is what? 52 degrees. All right, so that was our angle ADO. So that is the concept. Let us consider another one, item 3, ACD. ACD, all right? So with these angles that we have calculated, we just need to find all the remaining angles, all right? So ACD is the one that we need. ACD, all right? This one here, ACD, this one that we have here. So using, all right, using this angle O, we can see that here, this AD, this chord, you can take this chord, is creating the angle at the center. The same chord, if you take from A to D, it is creating angle at what? At C, which is at the circumference. So the angle at the circumference is half the one at the center, since the angle at the center is twice the one at the circumference. So that is the concept that you're going to simply use. Angle C is half of what? Of angle O. So that is 76 degrees divided by 2. Okay, so that was going to give us 38 degrees. This is ACD. And another one, BCA. BCA, so angle BCA is equal to what? That's B to C to A, right? This angle here. So if we are to consider BCA, we are talking about angles in a what? In a triangle, which add up to 180 degrees. But as we have got the 90 degrees here at B, this angle A and angle C, they are supposed to add up to 90 degrees. Angle A and angle C. So to find the remaining angle here at C, this one, you simply have to what? Consider 90 degrees minus what? 76, as they add up to 90 degrees. Or you can simply subtract from 180. All right, so that's 14 degrees, this one. It's going to be 14. Or you can simply subtract from 180. 180 degrees minus what? The 90 and the 76. 90 plus what? 76 degrees. Still, you're going to obtain the same answer. All right. The special name given to the shape ABCD. ABCD. All right. We have the 90 degrees and 90 degrees there. All right. Remember, this is 90 degrees at D and 90 degrees at B. So that's a kite that we are forming here. All right. These ones giving 180, and that's a line of symmetry, because this diameter here is going to be a line of symmetry, one line of symmetry. So that's a kite. This one is going to be a kite. All right. So the special name there was going to be a kite. Okay, then factorize on question number 4. You are given to factorize. All right, so let's consider A. Okay, that is question number 4. This one, A, factorize this. So considering the highest common factor between 9 and 8, between 18 and 8, that's 2. So you're going to have 18 divided by 2, 9x squared. 8 divided by 2, which is what? 4y squared. And this is a difference of what? 2 squares. So you're going to consider 2 brackets from the a minus b into a plus b concept. The square roots of these two terms, square root of 9x squared, 3x. Square root of 4y squared, that's 2y. So one subtract, another one is going to add those square roots, all right? So one subtracts and another one adds. So that is the simplest form. We have factorized completely from what you're given. B, expressed as a single fraction, all right? So let's consider this as a single fraction. So many ways to consider this, all right? So that's the part B, m over 3 minus n minus 1 over 2. You can simply consider the LCM of these denominators 3 and 2, which is what? Which is 6. So over 6, 6 divided by 3, that's a 2. Then it multiplies the numerator, that's 2 times m, all right, minus 6 divided by 2, that's what? 3, into n minus 1. So this is what you're going to have. Expand 2 times m, that's 2m, minus 3 times n, minus 3n, minus 3 times minus 1, you multiply to the negative 1, that's a positive 3. Everything over 6, which cannot be simplified. So this answer is in the simplest form. You cannot simplify further what we are given, all right? Or you can simply consider the same denominators, 2 this side, 3 this side. So you multiply by 2 over 2, 3 over 3. So that was going to give us 2 times m, 2m, 3 times 2, 6, minus 3 multiplies n minus 1. So that's like this, over 2 times 3, 6. As we can see that we have got the same denominators in this case, which is what? Which is 6. Simply combine the numerators together. So that's 2m minus 3 times n minus 3n minus 3 times minus 1 plus 3. So this is your final answer. As you can see, it is the same as before. All right, now let's consider another part, which is C. Given this logarithm, all right, which is equal to 3, item 1, form an equation and show that it reduces to this. All right, since we are given the same base of 2, we are adding. So remember, log m plus log n, provided we are under the same base, we can simply multiply the numbers mn under that same base. So this is what is happening here. This is the base of 2 addition. So you simply multiply x minus 1 and x minus 13, x minus 1, x minus what? 13 under the base of 2. So that is equal to 3. All right. Remember that relationship from log form to exponential form, log a in base of b, which is equal to c, that can be written as a is equal to b to the exponent of what? B to the exponent of c. So we can write this here is representing our a, b is represented by 2, and this is of c. So a representing this bracket as it is x minus 1 into x minus 13 is equal to 2 to the exponent of 3. B to the exponent of what? C. We want to write in what? Exponential form. So that's 2 to the exponent of 3. Expand these brackets, simplify, you're done. So x times x, that's what? X squared. X times negative 13, negative 13x, negative 1 times x, that's negative x, negative 1 and negative 13, that's positive 13, which is equal to 2 to the exponent of 3, which is 8. Collect the like terms on the left-hand side of your equation here. That was going to give us what? X squared minus 13 minus 1, that's minus 14x, plus 13. We can even take the 8 to the other side, so it's going to be negative 8, so that this will be equal to 0. So that's it. X squared minus what? 14x. 13 minus 8, which is what? Positive 5, and that's equal to 0. So as we can see, this is exactly the equation that we are given to what? To show that it's going to reduce to. All right, then from there, item 2, it was to solve that equation, giving answers to what? 2 decimal places, this equation that we have already shown. Let us simply solve that equation. So that was the item 2. To 2 decimal places, definitely have to use what? the quadratic formula. You're dealing with a quadratic equation. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of what? B squared minus 4ac over 2a. So that is it. Our a from here, that is the coefficient of what? X squared. So this is a, this is b, this is our c. So that's we are going to have x is equal to minus our b, negative what? Negative 14. All right, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 14. So that's minus 14 squared minus 4ac. Our a is what? Is 1. Our c is what? Positive 5. Everything over what? Over 2a. That's 2 times our a is what? Is 1. The coefficient of what? X squared. So this is what you're going to have. You simplify this. All right. We can just try to simplify negative, negative. That's a positive. Plus or minus the square root of simplify. What is under the square root from your calculator? Just find the sum of that. Minus 14 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. That is 176. Everything over 2 times 1, which is 2. So we can simplify this separately, starting with a positive, another one with a negative. All right. Some of you guys need to indicate that 14 plus the square root of 176 over 2, or x is equal to, you take a negative 14 minus the square root of 176 over what? Over 2. So that is where you're going to have the values of x, and you round off to what? 2 decimal places as we are given on our instruction. All right, the square root of 176 over what? 2. That was going to give us 13,633, which is 3 is not going to affect this one. It's not going to affect, so it's going to be 13,63. This is what you're going to have, 13, what? 63. 18,63, or x is equal to, you consider a negative this time. So let's put a negative. That was going to give us 0,6. 7, this 7 is going to change here, or we can just fix to 2 decimal places. 0, what? 0,37. So that's 0,37 if you round off to what? 2 decimal places. So you can even indicate here to what? 2 decimal places. Our answer were taken to what? To 2 decimal places. All right. So that is what we had on this part. All right. Just like that. This is what we had. Then question number 5, it was part of what? Construction. This is your construction. All right, let us just consider again this one quickly. You are given, answer the whole of this question on a sheet of plain paper using ruler, compass, and so on. This is what you're given. Triangle PQR. All right, so just gonna have a sketch. Angle PQR is 60 degrees. So the angle is on what? Q, which is 60 degrees. So let us just consider the sketch here. All right, so it's a triangle, what? Triangle PQR. The angle is 60 degrees, which is at what? At Q. The angle is at Q. So we're just going to take it as PQR, PQ to R like this, where PQ is given as what? PQ 10 centimeters. So PQ was 10 centimeters, and also RQ was given QR, which is 8 centimeters. So that's our QR, which was 8 centimeters. So this is what you're given, and you're asked to construct that. All right. Construct triangle PQR on what? On A, then do these calculations and constructions. All right. So let us see what we're given here. This is our sketch. All right. So let us construct from the sketch that we are given. We are going to need the ruler for our construction. All right. So this is what we are going to need. We are going to need a ruler, and this one, the compass. For measurements, we're just gonna need the protractor for proper measurements to see if we are having those angles that we have indicated. All right, so with this, we are done. All right, so what we are going to do from the sketch that we are having here, I can simply, this is construction, guys. You can simply have the line of QR, which is 8 centimeters. So just draw any line of your choice here. All right, then we can mark our starting point from this line. All right, let us just mark our starting point. Let's say this is our starting point. So I'm going to indicate that as as a Q, where the angle is of 60 degrees, and measure that line if it is possible. All right, so here, let me see if I can be able to obtain 8 centimeters from this compass. Is it possible? 8, yes, 8 centimeters is here. So this is 8 centimeters from From my compass, this one, 8 centimeters, same as it is here, indicating 8 centimeters. You mark it, that line. So that is what you are having there at the end, all right, which was 8 centimeters. At Q, there's an angle of 60 degrees. Construct the angle of 60 degrees, which is inside the triangle, this side on the right-hand side of Of Q, on the right-hand side. So you're going to construct 60 degrees on the right-hand side of Of Q. So how do you construct from the point Q? Just open a certain length of your choice. All right, construct an arc with that length. All right, from this, construct an arc without changing the length. All right, on this part here, without changing the length, construct another arc from the end here between the arc and the line. All right, between the arc and between the arc and the line, that is where you're going to place the needle point here between the arc and the line. Then you construct another arc to meet the first arc, that you constructed. So you construct from this point an arc to meet the first arc that you constructed. The angle that you're going to have here is going to be at At 60 degrees from from the point Q. All right, so this is it at 60 degrees from point Q, joining those two arcs. All right, so you're going to have something like this. So here it's gonna be something like this here because of those constructions. Somehow it can just affect. All right, so but it's also gonna be something like this. All right, so this arc here, let me try to adjust it something like this. All right, so that it can be properly intersecting at this point. So that was the angle of 60 degrees that you have formulated. You can just ignore that one or write 60 degrees. It is in your hands. All right, so from Q along this line, we are going to the point to the point Q, which is 10 to the point P, I mean, which is 10 centimeters from Q to point P, 10 centimeters. So you can measure that, or you can simply use the ruler. It is up to you, but you can measure 10 centimeters. So here, guys, you can see I cannot open enough 10 centimeters. It's limited to 9,2. So let us use the ruler simply along that 60 degrees, measure 10 centimeters and mark a point to indicate that one. So it's going to be something like this. 10 centimeters, that is here. So this is where we got 10 centimeters. But we're supposed to use to use the compass to mark that point. So use a compass here. That is because I'm limited, guys, of the instrument on the board. But you're supposed to use a compass. You mark that point. That's your point That's your point P. All right, which is from point Q, 10 10 centimeters. So what can we do to complete the triangle? Simply join R to R to P, or P to R, using Using the ruler. All right, so you simply join. So yeah, let me just use a line, guys, for the sake of time. All right, let me just do this for the sake of time. You join using the ruler from Q to R, just passing through something like that. All right, so this is what you're going to have. Q to R, this is what you're going to have here. Done. Okay, so those are the constructions simply like that. All right. You have completed the diagram from the given information. All right. Then from there, you're being asked on B, measure that length, right? Which is the length of what? PR. PR is this one. So you're simply going to need a ruler and measure that. That was going to approximate to 9,2 centimeters, something like that, from point P to point what? To point R along this line, something here, along this line, something like 9,1, 9,2, approximately 9,2. All right, so that was B. P R is going to be approximately 9,2 centimeters. All right, so just measure that one, guys, and see what you are obtaining. All right, another part, it was construct C, the locus of points that are item one equidistant from QR, this sides QR and what? QP. So the side QR and what? Side QP. QR and QP. What is formed is an angle. So we need what? The angle bisector. So this item 2 at what? At this angle Q, the one that is repeating, you bisect that one. So this is what? Angle bisector. You bisect angle what? Angle Q, which is given as what? 60 degrees. So that was an angle bisector. Let's bisect the angle. Remember how to bisect the angle. We are going to need the needle point at what? At Q. Open a certain distance of your choice. Remember, we need to bisect angle Q. So you mark arcs along the lines forming the angle Q, line QP and line what? QR. You mark arcs on those two lines, all right? So you're going to mark an arc here, you mark another arc on this line, all right? Without changing this distance, using these two arcs, all right? Using these two arcs, the one along this line and this one, all right? Using those two arcs, we're going to mark two arcs again, then join from Q to the what? To the intersection of what? Of those two arcs. So using these two arcs on the what? On these lines, the arcs that are intersecting with what? The lines forming the angle what? The angle Q. So let us use that, this one, without changing the distance at this point. Just mark an arc, all right? So you're gonna construct an arc from here, construct an arc, and from this one, you do the same thing, all right? You construct an arc so that they do meet at a certain point. Where they meet, you simply join from the point what? From the point Q, the one that you are bisecting. From the point Q, passing through the what? Passing through these two that intersected here. The line that we are going to have is what? Bisecting the angle. It has bisected angle what? Angle Q. That's an angle bisector. All right. So that was the case of our question here. Let us move on to another one. Now, equidistant from P and R. P is a point, R is a point. So this is what? Line bisector. So here we are supposed to consider the line bisector. All right, line bisector. That's what? P and what? P and R. P and R, P, R. P is here. This is our P and this is our R. So you're supposed to what? Bisect the line. Remember how to bisect the line. You consider these 2 points, P and R. All right, at point R here, open a distance which is more than half of the line. All right, more than what? Half of the line. All right, then we construct an arc on this end. All right, and another arc on this side here. Right, let's do the same thing from what? From the point what? From the point P. We do the same thing from the point P. We are supposed to construct. Okay, here I did change this one, guys. I'm not supposed to change. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to that distance. Sorry for that. I was not supposed to change, but let me just do this. I'm gonna get it very soon. I'm gonna get it. This was it, right? This was it, this one, all right? So without changing, do not change that distance, all right? Do not change that distance. So from what? From this point P, what we need is the point P, right? So we're gonna mark an arc, all right? Then on this other side, mark and arc. So they do meet, all right? These two arcs, they do meet here, all right? And these two arcs, they do meet here. Join those arcs. I mean, join the intersection of the arcs. By joining the intersection of the arcs, we have bisected the line, right? So it was going to be something like this, joining to the what? To the intersection of the lines. All right, something like this. If you join those intersections, all right, this one and this one, then we're going to meet. So that is, you have bisected the line what? The line PR into two equal parts. That is, we've got equal distance from P to this point. We've got equal distance from this point to R. Okay, that was it. So let us consider the other part of the question. We are given to mark, all right? So here, mark and label K, that is the point K that is equidistant from QR and QP. Remember, this was angle bisector. So we are talking about where the line A, the line, this one in red of angle bisector, all right? And also equidistant from P and R. P and R was what? The line bisector. This one in what? In black. So where are these two gonna meet? The one in black and this one in red. They meet at a certain point here. Where they meet, you mark a point, indicate as what? As K. All right, that was what you're given. All right, so that was the consideration there. Then on the other hand, we are given the point H is inside the what? Inside the triangle PQR. So it is inside this triangle what? PQR here. This is our triangle PQR. All right. Inside, take note, is in that triangle PQR. It is nearer P than R. So nearer P than R. It is from the line bisector of what? PR. This one, the one in black, this was our line bisector. From the line bisector, it divides into two regions. So there's a region that is closer to P. There's a region that is closer to what? There's a region that is closer to R. From what? From the line bisector. Nearer P than R, you consider what? The line bisector. So the region that we're going to consider that will be closer or nearer, that is nearer P, it is this region that is remaining this side, all right? It is nearer what? QP than QR from the angle bisector. This one, from this angle bisector, what is closer to QP, nearer QP? It is affected by the what? This line of the angle bisector. So what is closer to what? What is closer to QP was supposed to be what? Was supposed to be this region, this whole region, this one, this whole region, this one. This is closer to what? To QP compared to this one from what? From QR, from the angle bisector. So shade the region where H is, where H lies. So take note, guys, we are talking about this region was supposed to be taken as it is. But this statement is going to limit us because they said it is nearer P than what? Nearer P than R. So this nearer P than R is limited from what? From this line bisector. So this region cannot be taken, this region that you are seeing here. So you'll only be left with this region here. That is what? The only region that you're going to consider because they said nearer P. We cannot take anything that is on this side of the line bisector. We're supposed to take it when they say the QP. when they said nearer QP than R, this region was included. But now we cannot include it because of this statement. It limits only to that region there. So that was the region that we're going to shed. That is where H is what found in this region inside the what? Inside the triangle. All right, let us consider another part, which is we're already in section B. So under our section B, we are going to consider answering all questions. You are given to answer any 4 questions in this section. Answer any 4 questions from this section for you to obtain what? 48 marks. 12 by what? For each carries what? 12 marks. So that is, you're going to choose. But for purpose of revision, we are going to consider all the questions that are in this section. All right. 6, we are given a shop owner sells a gas stove at this amount. So this is our selling price and made a loss. So a loss you subtract, calculate the cost price. All right. So remember always the cost price is at what? 100%. So the selling price is the one that is affected by the loss. So to have a loss, you subtract from 100%. So it's going to be 100 minus what? Minus 12, which is a difference of 88. So that's going to be 88%. So you can use a proportion to answer this type of a question, all right? Say that 88% representing what? The cost, the selling price is given 88% is equals to 10,806,40, which is our selling price. What about the cost price, which is found at what? 100%. What is the value representing your cost price? You can use proportion, which is going to be more. So 100 over what? 88 to solve that. More 100 over 88 times what? Your selling price of 10,000. 806,40. Use your calculators, guys. That is paper 2. This is paper 2 for you. Use calculators. 12,280. That was what you're going to have as your what? As your cost price. Okay. Then B, you are given 8,000 and so this man that you're given, which is the principal, it and a what? A simple interest. You are given the simple interest at a rate of, find the time in what? In years which the money was invested. So this is a simple interest. We know, guys, simple interest is direct PRT over what? 100. So the simple interest is given as what? 4,060 is equal to the principal 8,000, all right, times the rate 14 and a half, that's 14,5. 14,5 times the time in years over what? 100. So we can evaluate this, all right? 4,060 is equal to what? This and this can cancel. The 2 zeros there can cancel and or just use a calculator, guys, once, all right? 80 times 14,5 is 1,160. 1,160 times what? Times the value of t, the time in years. Divide by 1,160 here to obtain the value of t. So dividing these two, you're going to obtain the value of t, which is our time in where in what? Years. 3,5. So that was going to be 3,5 years or 3.5 years. All right. So that was it. From what we are given, we have got the time from the simple interest concept. All right. Just like that. Then B, the furniture was bought here. All right. Let's consider this statement. So we are given that on part C, a furniture firm offers launch suit for what? 21,000 cash. This is cash price and or a higher purchase price. All right. So there are two options. All right. A higher purchase, we have got a deposit of what? 6,000 is required on a hire purchase. There's a deposit that is required and payment of 12 equal monthly installments. Hire purchase terms, that's a condition that we are given, attracts a 36% financial charge on remainder. It's a condition of what? Those are terms and conditions of the hire purchase agreement. So calculate the item one financial charge. So as we can see here, the financial charge is 36% of what? Of the remainder. All right. So that's our financial charge. It is taken as what? 36% of what? The remainder of the remainder. What is the remainder? The remainder is when you are using the hire purchase agreement, you pay a deposit of what? Of 6,000. What is the remainder when you pay that deposit? Deposit has been paid. You pay it. So remainder is from the cash price. So it is simply the cash price minus what? Minus deposit, where our cash price is what? 21,000. Subtract what? Deposit of 6,000. That was the case. So this is going to give us the remainder of 15,000. So that's $15,000. So as the financial charge, 36% of what? The remainder is what we need. 36 over 100 times the remainder of what? 15,000. That was going to give us the financial charge of what? 5,400. All right, 5,400 if we multiply it properly from our calculator. So that's a financial charge. Item two, the monthly installments. So under a hire purchase, this is what happened. There's a condition that you work with. So what is to be paid? Before we talk about the monthly installments, what is to be what? To be paid. So amount to be what? To be paid. To be paid. What are we supposed to pay? We have already paid a deposit of 6,000. This one, it's already paid, this one. So what is to be paid? It is the remainder, this one. For that time that is remaining, those 12 months, those 12 equal monthly installments, the remainder 15,000 was to be paid. And what? The financial charge. Those are the two things that you are supposed to consider. That is what is remaining. And the financial what? Charge. The remainder and the financial charge. What is our remainder? 15,000. What was our financial charge? 4,000 what? For 5,400. So this was going to give us the total amount to be paid. What is to be paid in this case, which is 20,400. So now monthly, how much are you going to pay monthly? So monthly repayment now. So as for the monthly installments, the monthly installments will be what is to be paid, this one, the amount, the total amount to be what? To be paid over what? It is paid in 12 equal monthly installments, 12 equal. So you divide by the number of months, 12 equal monthly. So that was going to give us $1,700. So this is the monthly installment that you are going to use or to pay each and every month. You're paying that each and every month. All right. So that is how you play around with a hire purchase. Then the total amount paid on what? On that hire purchase. What is going to be the total amount? So you add everything that was paid. That is how you find what? The total amount. So the total amount, now everything that was paid, it was the deposit first. All right. Then we have got the financial charges, those financial charges that we considered. All right. So in fact, let us just take here both the financial charges and the remainder was here paid to this one amount to be paid, total amount to be paid what? to be paid monthly. So here we just take this one, the 20,000, the financial charge plus what? Plus that remainder, this one. It's a single value, this one that you already have. So our deposit was already paid. They're talking about everything that was paid under hire purchase. So remember that this deposit was paid, the 6,000 is already paid. So it's what you paid that. So you talk about everything that you paid, 6,000 plus what? Those financial charges and the remainder. They gave us what? 20,400. So those were two important for this calculation. So that was 20,000 what? 400. 20,400, not 20,600, but 20,000 what? 400. So add these two, that was going to give us 26,000 $400. Okay, so this is the total amount of everything under the hire purchase, just like that. So this was answerable. It was better. It was better. This type of questions that we are given here, they are understandable. All right, let us see what are given on number 7. The total cost T dollars. So total cost is represented by T. All right, then there's something here, the number of subjects, W. So number of subjects is represented by what? By W. This is part of your variation. All right, and this is what? Partial variation. If you have to consider properly here, they are referring something about constant in what? Partly constant and partly varies with the number of what? Subjects, W. So that one is considered. All right, so A, you are given T, relationship between T and W. T is equal to partly constant, that's a constant, and partly varies, a constant with that, with what? W. So a constant with W. So that is what we're given. So here we are given the total cost of registering 6 subjects is what? This. So W is given and T is given. T for total cost. So 5,000 is equal to H plus our W is 6. So that's 6 times K. Our W is 6, remember? So that's 6 times what? K. The second condition, the cost of registering is given for 10 subjects, the total and number of subjects. Total cost is what? 6,200. For how many subjects? 10 subjects. So that's 10 what? 10 kW is 10. So here we have got relationship that has got H and K, but here they just want T and what? W. So you are supposed to solve for what? For H and K. Solve for H and K. These are simultaneous equations. All right, given this equation 1 and equation 2, simply subtract to eliminate H. You can simply subtract equation 1 minus equation what? 2. 5,000 minus what? 6,200. That's a negative 1,200. H minus H, that's a 0. 6 minus 10, that's minus 4K. So to find K, divide by what? By negative 4. So that is it. This was going to cancel. Our K is equal to, this is 300. So K is what? 300. You can use that value of K to find the value of H by substituting in any one of these equations. So I'm going to work from equation 1, this one, I'm going to substitute in what? Equation 1, this one, all right? So in equation 1, 5,000 is equal to what? 5,000 is equal to H plus 6 times K. Our K is what? 300. So solve for H. 5,000 is equal to H plus 6 times 300, that's 1,800. So take the 1,800 to the other side, it was going to be negative here. So 5,000 minus 1,800, that's going to give us what? 3,200. 3,200 is equal to H. So that's the value of H, 3,200. So we can take this and put it back here to have that relationship after you have solved this way, all right? After you have solved everything, you substitute those values to find the relationship between what? T and W. You have to substitute the constants, the H, which is what? 3,200, and our K, which is what? 300 times what? W. So that was the relationship that you're being asked on what? On A. All right. So using this relationship, we can answer all these questions that we are given here from that given what? Relationship. All right. So that was part A, and part B. Calculate the total cost of registering 8 subjects. Number of subjects is what? Is W. So you're given that W is 8. What is the value of T, the total? So you simply substitute into the formula that you have already created here. So let me just take this one a little bit. Okay, it's fine. So you simply substitute in this formula. That's our B. So B. So our B, given that W is 8, so T is equal to 3,200 plus 300 times what? W, which is what? Our W, which is 8, the number of subjects that we are given, which is 8. So that was going to give us the value of T, 3,200 plus this times this is going to give us 2,400. So add 3,200 plus 2,400. That was going to give us 5,000 what? 600. So that was the total cost. All right. So that was part B. All right. Let's consider another part from what you're given. C. All right. Find the number of subjects given what? The total cost T. So we need what? W given what? T. So you can simply substitute T is what? 5,900. So is equal to 3,200 plus 300 W. So you solve for W. Take this to the other side. It was going to be a negative 3,200. So 5,900 minus 3,200 is going to give us 2,000 what? 700, which is equal to 300 W divided by 300 by 300. So W is equal to 9. That's 9 what? Subjects. So W is what? 9 subjects, just like that. All right, that's our C. Then on D, if a candidate registers 11 or more subjects, 5% discount is offered on the total cost. Find the cost of registering what? 12 subjects. So 12 subjects is greater than what? Greater than 11. So once you've got something that is greater than or equal 11 or greater than, you obtain what? A discount. So here, a discount was what? Was offered. A discount was offered. So to calculate the total, first let us have the total for those 12 subjects. When our W is what? Is 12. The total is going to be what? 3,200 plus 300 times the number of subjects, which is what? 12 subjects. So the total here was going to be from what we are given. This is 3,200 plus 3,600. So you add, this was going to give us a total of 6,800. So a discount was offered, guys, for what? For any part that is 11 or more. A discount was what? Was offered of 5%. So what was the discount? Because here 12 subjects, they are more than what? 11. So definitely there was a discount, 5%, 5 over 100 on the total cost. So you multiply to the what? Total cost of what? 6,800 to obtain the discount, which was going to give you $340. So therefore, the total cost, so therefore, our total cost now is going to be what we are supposed to pay, 6,000 what? 800. We're supposed to pay 6,800, but there is what? a discount. A discount is a negative discount remove. So you subtract that 6,000 what? Oh, sorry, 340, the discount here, 300 and what? 40. So that was going to give us the total cost, which is what? 6,000. 400 and what? $460. So that's how we simply play around these typical questions. As you can see, that was our question number 7. Let us move on to question number 8. You are given here, all right, part of your trigonometry and so on. 3 villages are on the level ground affected by a cyclone. Village D, 5 kilometers due east of what B. So this is horizontally given from here. That's at what? 90 degrees due east. This is north and this is what? East. So that is the consideration of a due east. That's why you see the 90 degrees there. All right. Village D, all right, so here we are given that, and village C is 4 kilometers on a bearing of what? North 23 degrees to the west. North 23 degrees going to the what? Going to the west, which is this one from what? From B. So that's where the village C is, 4 kilometers, okay? Then calculate item 1, CBD, angle CBD. So CBD is the sum of these two angles. You simply combine the 23 degrees, this one, and what? And the 90 degrees, this one. That is indicated the right angle. So that was our angle CBD. 23 plus what? 90 degrees, which is 113 degrees, just like that. Item 2, the distance between the village C and D. C and D, as we can see from the angle that we have calculated, this whole angle that is inside this triangle of 113 degrees. It is an included angle. There is a side here and there's another side here. So that's an included angle. You want to find this side CD. So you're simply going to use what? The cosine rule. Where there is an included angle, you want to find the third side. So that's the cosine rule. CD squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos of what? Cos of A. All right. Where A here is the included angle opposite to what you're calculating, CD. So CD squared, the B and C are the sides creating the angle, the 4 and what? The 5. So that's 4 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 4 and what? Times 4 times 5 times the cos of A, which is the angle, the included angle of what? 113 degrees. So that was going to give us what? CD squared. 14 squared, that's 16 plus 5 squared, 25. 2 times 4 times 5, that's 10 times 4, which is 40. So that's 40 here. So that's minus 40 cos 113 degrees. So you can even use, all right, let's simplify first. There's add here, 16 plus 21, that's 41. So 41 minus 40 cos 113. So we can simplify this using the calculator. Combine everything on your calculator. 41 minus, all right, let me bring back the calculator to the normal mode. All right, so that's 41 minus 40 cos 113, like this. So this is the resultant 56, comma this and that. So just write those values, 56, comma 62924, and so on and so on. So to find CD, you're going to simply introduce what? The square root. So CD is equal to the square root of what? The answer that you have, 7,5, 7,52524, and so on and so on. So you can round that one to what? 3SF. If you're not given, use 3 significant figures. 1, 2, 3. 7, comma 5. 5 is going to change these 2 into what? 3. So that's our CD in what? Kilometers. These are in kilometers. 5 comma this whatever that you're given. So I'm just gonna store that value for the purpose of using actual values. I'm going to store it if we are using these values 7 comma that was 7 comma 5 2 5 4 and so on and so on. So you just use the one that you stored, the value that you stored, in case you're going to use that value later on. So that was our CD in what? Kilometers. All right. Let us consider the other part of the question, which is item 2, the angle BDC. All right. Item 3, angle BDC. So angle BDC is here, BD to C, BDC. The angle that we are creating here is the one that we need to calculate. All right. So remember your sine rule. The angle here corresponds to this side. This angle corresponds to this side. So you can use the sine rule. So we can simply use the sine rule. The sine of the angle that we are calculating, BDC, all right, BDC over the corresponding side, 4 kilometers, is equal to the sine of what is given, complete 113 degrees over the corresponding side, 7,5 to 5 and so on. So you're going to simply use what? The sine rule. Sine of A over A is equal to sine of B over B from your sine rule. So to find the angle, take or get rid of this 4, multiply by 4, multiply by 4. Thus, the sine of the angle BDC is equal to this, all right? So this is same as over 1. So you're going to simply use the calculator. So you have a fraction 4 times the sine of 113 over that 7 comma whatever that you have. So I'm going to use the exact value. I'm going to recall that value. So I'm going to use a recall it so that I obtain exact value 0,489 and so on and so on and so on. All right. So to find the angle BDC from this sine that we are given here, it's gonna be arc sine on the other side. It will be arc sine like this, arc sine to the power of -1, arc sine of 0,489 and so on and so on. So that was going to give us angle BDC, the exact value, arc sine of that. Shift, you press sine or second function on your calculator, you press the sine button of that answer that we had. So that was going to be 29,23 and so on. Remember, angles to what? 1 decimal place as per instruction. So 9 is going to change 2 into 3, 29,3 degrees, all right? So that is what you're going to have, 29,3 degrees to what? To 1 decimal place. So that's our angle that we are going to consider here, the angle what? BDC here, 29,3 degrees. Okay, then another part that we are given is that the 3-figure bearing of what? Village D from village C, village D from C, D here from C. So you consider from C, the 3-figure bearing from what? From C. So we're going to have the North Pole at C. How do we consider the bearing? That is D from what? D from C. So that is the angle from the north of C here in a clockwise direction up to here. This is the angle that we want. All right, but there are some properties. Remember that here BD is a horizontal line as it is at what? At 90 degrees from this vertical line. So with this horizontal line that we're having, these two lines will be what? Parallel lines. So meaning to say the angle formed at C there and this angle at D, alternate angles will be equal. This angle that is in within here is the same as this one of 29,3 degrees. So the angle or representing the bearing is the whole part of what? The 90 degrees here from the north and east, and this 29,3. You simply combine these two. That's the whole angle that is indicated there. So that was the angle that you simply need 90 degrees plus what? the angle that we are given of what? 29,3. 29,3. This was going to give us something like 119,3. 119,3, but we need what? Three figure. So to the nearest whole number, that is what? 119 degrees. So this is what you're going to consider. All right. Then C, a rescue is given. A rescue helicopter took off from B towards C at an angle of elevation of what? 13 degrees from B towards C. All right, this is where the point B, the point C, the angle of elevation is what? 13 degrees. Remember, this makes up 90 degrees. So you're given the angle of what? Elevation. All right, until it was directly above what? Above C, until it is directly above. This is the height. Calculate the height above C, which is this one. All right. So remember, we have the length of BC from our diagram. The length of BC is given 4 kilometers. So using that length of BC, 4 kilometers, we can find the height h, all right? This is part of your trigonometric ratios. From your trig ratios, you are in a right-angled triangle. According to the angle given, this here is what? Opposite. And we have got our hypotenuse facing what? 90 degrees. Which ratio can we use? Opposite and hypotenuse from our SOHCAHTOA concept. So that's opposite hypotenuse from what? The ratio of a sine. The sine of theta angle is equal to opposite of hypotenuse. Opposite is h. Hypotenuse is what? 4 kilometers. So solve for h. Simply what? Cross multiply. So h, 1 times h, 4 times what? 4 times the sine of 13 degrees. That was going to give us 0,8998. Right, which is going to affect this to 0.9 kilometers. Remember, they are in what? Kilometers. So you can have that one as 0.9 kilometers. Okay. So that was it. Question number 8. 12 marks for everything there. All right. Consider question number 9, matrices. All right. That is, consider your matrices. We are given these matrices. All right. A, given this. All right. Item 1, find two possible values of x. That's a product. So simply consider row by what? Row by column. So row, this row where there is x times this column is supposed to give us what? Is supposed to give us 6. So simply consider that multiplication row by column. X times what? 4. That's 4 times x squared. All right, plus negative 2 times what? Negative 2 times 5 is equal to what? Is equal to 6. You have formed an equation. 4 times x squared, 4x squared. Minus and a positive negative 10 here. It was going to be plus minus 10, like this, plus minus 10. So that is going to give us what? A negative, which is equal to 6. So we want to solve for x. Remember, to solve for x, take the negative 10 to the other side. It was going to be a positive. So 4x squared is 6 plus 10. That is 16. Divide by 4. So x squared is equal to 4. So to find the two possible values of x, introducing the square root, x was going to be plus or minus the square root of any number. So that's plus or minus 2. So x can be positive 2 or x can be what? A negative 2. Simple like that, right? That is what you're given. Then another part, you have to find or calculate the value of what? The value of y. So y is here. It corresponds to the row, and this column, multiplication of this row and column corresponds to y there if you multiply properly. So that is minus 3 times what? Times 4. Minus 3 times 4 plus 7 and what? 7 and 5 row by column is going to give us what? Y. So that's it. Minus 3 times 4, that's negative 12. 7 times 5, which is what? 35 is equal to y. So y is what? Negative 12 plus 35, which is what? 23. So that was how you simply play around with the given information. And on the other hand, B, you are given these two matrices, all right? From these two matrices that you're given, find item 1, 2p plus q. So that is 2 times matrix P, 1, 9, negative 8, 4, plus matrix Q, 7 minus 1, 0, 2. So that's it. The 2 is the scalar. It multiplies everything inside the given matrix. 2 times negative 1, that's 2, times negative 8, negative 16, 18, and this was going to be 8. Then you add 7, 0, minus 1, 2, just like that. Element to element, 2 versus what? 7. So 2 plus 7, that is what? 9. Minus 16 plus 0, that's minus 16. 18 plus minus 1, 18 plus minus 1 simply gives us what? Minus 1, which is 17. 8 plus 2 gives us what? 10. So that is what you're going to have from the given information. Then item 2, it was q squared. Q squared, that is the square of q. Multiply that q. That is what you simply have. So item 2, q squared. Take the matrix q, 7 minus 1, 0, 2, multiply by it. Multiply by itself. That's it. So row by column. We're going to consider multiplication row by what? By column. So this is the first part. If you multiply that, 7 times 7, that's 49, plus 0 times minus 1, that's a 0. Then we move on to the next column. This one is the column that you're going to consider from the what? From the same row. 7 times 0, that's a 0 there. 0 times 2, that's a 0. So we are done with the first column. The first row. You move on to the second row, this one. So the second row is got minus 2, minus 1 and 2. You multiply to the first column. All right, let's multiply. Same as before. Minus 1 times 7, minus 7 plus 2 times minus 1, that's minus 2. All right, you move on to the second what? To the second column using the same row, this one. Negative 1 times 0, that's 0, plus 2 times 2, that's what? 4. So you simply combine that. That's matrix multiplication. 49 plus 0, that's 49. 0 plus 0, that's a 0. Minus, here plus and minus is going to give us a minus. So minus 7 minus 2, that's minus 9. 0 plus 4, that's what? A 4. So that was going to give us what? Q squared, the square of what? Q. All right. Just like that. All right. Item 3, the inverse of what? Q. Or the inverse of P. P to the power of minus 1. That's the inverse of what? The inverse of P. So item 3, in order for you to have the inverse, you must have the determinant first of what? Q. So the determinant of Q from A, B, C, D, which is AD minus BC, the product of what? The major diagonal, 1 and 4, all right, which is 1 times 4, the major diagonal, minus the product of the minor diagonal, which is what? Minus 8 versus what? 9. So that was it, minus 8 times 9, like that. 1 times 4, that is 4, minus negative 8 and 9, that was going to give us negative 72. A negative and a negative combines to give us what? A positive. So that's 4 plus 72, which is what? 76. That's the determinant. So from that determinant, we can therefore determine what? The inverse. Remember the inverse concept. It is 1 over the determinant, 1 over determinant of P. Then you interchange the major diagonal. The minor diagonal you multiply by negative. So 1 over the determinant of what? 76. The major diagonal, you interchange in the major diagonal, 4 here, 1 there. So that's 4, 1. The minor diagonal, multiply by negative. Negative times negative, that's positive. Negative times 9, that's a negative 9. So this is going to be what? The inverse of what? The inverse of the set P. So that was what you're given from this information. This is what you simply needed to answer question number what? Question number 9. All right, so let's move on to the other part, which is in this case, we need graphs. All right, we need a graph pair. So on question number 10, this is part of our transformation. All right, you're given, answer the whole of this question on a sheet of graph paper. Use a scale of 2 centimeters to 2 units on both axes. All right, so we're given for x, draw from -8 to +8, 2 centimeters to represent 2 units. All right, so for x, for -8 to +8, 2 centimeters, 2 units, all right? Then y to from -8 to 8 again. So for the y values, from -8 to what? From -8 going up to 8. So this is going to mark up as the y-axis, all right? So we are going to have this one as our y-axis, all right? So you're given this Cartesian plane. On that Cartesian plane, A, triangle T has got these vertices. Draw and label triangle T for 1 mark, all right? So there's point 2, 1, 2 versus 1. So this is 1 in between here. So that's 2 versus 1, all right? Another point, 3 versus 3. 3 versus 3. This is 3 and this is 3 in between 2 and 4. All right, then another one is 4 versus 3. 4 versus what? 3. Then you join. So you're not given this as A, B, C, just as it is like this. So join that to formulate the triangle T. So join here. All right, using your ruler, and also join this using your ruler, and join this one using your ruler. All right, so that was going to give us what? The triangle T that we are given. So this is what? Our triangle what? Our triangle T. Okay, so that is what you are given. Then B, triangle T1 is the image of triangle T under a certain transformation that we do not know, which is called H. The vertices of that triangle T1 are given here. A, draw and label triangle T1 from these vertices 4, 2. So let's mark the point 4 versus 2. All right, so that's 4 versus 2. This is the point. All right, then another one, 6 versus 6. All right, so we're going to mark the point 6 here versus 6, where these two meet. That's where you're gonna mark the point. So 6 versus 6, you mark the point. And another one, it was 8 versus what? 2. 8 versus 2. This is 2 here. 8 and 2, where they meet, you mark a point. So that's 8 versus 2. Does that make sense? Let's go back. 8 versus 6, not 2, but 8 versus 6. All right, I was surprised what's happening. 8 versus 6 on top here. Sorry for that. So that's 8 versus 6 there on top. So you join just like before. So you're going to join the points here, this one to this one, this one to this one, and this one to this one. You join, that's forming what? The triangle, which is a triangle what? Triangle T1. All right, so this is triangle T1. So that is what you're given. All right, then back here, item 2, describe fully the transformation H. H is the one that mapped triangle T to what? To T1 under transformation H, from triangle T to triangle what? T1. So let us look into the possible transformations according to our syllabus. We can see that here closely, this triangle T1 is bigger than what? triangle T. So that's and according to this, all sides have been we can see that this side has been enlarged, this one enlarged, this one enlarged. It's bigger from what we are given, all sides. So we're actually going to think of the enlargement and what? The two-way stretch. Those are the possibilities that we are going to consider where the sides can be enlarged, like what we can see. So for enlargement, these points, if we are to join them, corresponding points, they must meet at a certain what? At a certain point, which is the center. So you try enlargement first for these two transformations. It's a trial and error. You try to say which one is the best. So we can see that they've been enlargement actually is the answer, but we can try that. So you try enlargement first. If it is not enlargement, then you know that it is a what? A two-way stretch. So let's try enlargement. We join corresponding points. So this point and this point, they correspond. You join corresponding what? Corresponding points. Or let's find another one. Let's use which one? This one. Let's see if it's gonna work. All right, so let's join those corresponding points from what we are given. Passing through, you can see that like this. Let's join up to wherever there. All right, corresponding points. Then we can see that from the diagram, this point and this point, those are corresponding points. Join them. So you're going to join corresponding points. All right, so you join those corresponding points properly. It was going to be like this if we join those corresponding points. All right, you do the same. You can see that this point and this point corresponds. So you're going to join the 2 points, these 2 points. Joining these 2 points, we can see that all these points, they do intersect at a single point at the origin. That's an enlargement. If they were going to meet, maybe two meet like this, and another one does not even intersect like this, it means that was going to be a two-way stretch. But all these points, guys, intersecting at a single point like this, it is only enlargement which does that. When you are saying the answer can be enlargement or enlargement on what? Or two-way stretch. You have got two answers. That is the best answer there was going to be enlargement. They meet at a certain point that is going to be the center of enlargement. So it was supposed to be actually 3 marks, but they gave us 2 marks, no problem. So this is what that's B item 2. All right, B item 2, we are going to describe B item 2. So we describe fully the name of the transformation. We saw that it's going to be what? Enlargement. So it is an enlargement. All right, center where those lines met, they met at this point, the origin. So that's our center of enlargement, center about the origin, or center 0, 0 like this. Then the scale factor. So you're going to consider the scale factor. This is a property of what? Enlargement, where the scale factor is what you consider from the image over the what? Over the object, over what you take from the object. So we can see clearly, we can just work with these horizontal lines. Remember, they correspond. What is corresponding from the image? All right, this is how many units? This line here, it is how many units? 2 units. As we can see the difference here, 2 units. And this one that correspond is 1 unit. So that's 2 over 1, which is going to give us 2. And from this concept, the object and the image are on the same side from the center. They are on the same side. So the scale factor is taken what? As a positive. If it was a condition like this, where the image is on the other side, the object on the other side, the scale factor was going to be what? A negative. But in this case, they are on the same side. So they are going to have what? If they are on the same side like this, it's going to be a positive scale factor. All right, so that is what you're going to simply consider from these calculations that we had. All right, so here, that is it. So let us consider the other part. All right, no worries. Let us consider the other item. That was item C. All right. Triangle T2 is the image of T, which is the one that we had this triangle T given. All right. Under a 90 anti-clockwise rotation center, there's a center. Draw and label triangle T2. So you can simply use constructions, measure angles, then construct. It is fine. You can do that. But according to the transformation that I told you guys, if we check the playlist of the transformation, you can check I dealt with each and every part of the transformation. So go through that playlist so that you can attempt properly these typical questions. You can use the matrix method, which is easier for you to have the coordinates of the image, triangle A2, which is triangle T2, which is the image. So we can simply use matrices, using matrices on part C, using matrices to answer this type of a question. You're going to consider the matrix of a 90 degrees anti-clockwise, and 90 degrees anti-clockwise from our matrices. Remember, this is 0, 1, 1, 0, sorry. In the x-axis, x is 1, y is 0, and this is 0, 1. So this is rotating 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So it will end up at 0, 1. Okay. Then the point 0, 1 is rotating 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So it will end up at this point, which is minus 1, 0. So you write that minus 1, 0 in matrix form. So this is the matrix of a 90-degree anti-clockwise. But remember the concept, guys, the steps that you're going to take when you are given the center like this. You are going to take the coordinates from the triangle T. You subtract subtract or remove the center. So you take these coordinates, all right, just write them in column form: 2, 2, 1, 3, 3. All right, and this is 4, 3. Just write them in column form. Subtract the center. The center is The center is negative 2, 2. You write it as a column. So this is the concept. You're saying this minus this. All right, this minus this. All right, this minus this. We're supposed to actually separate it, but guys, for the sake of time, so this is how we take it: this one minus this one. Okay, let me just write it: 2, 1 minus 2, 2. That's what you're supposed to do. Then this one like that. So you can simply subtract 3 minus 2. That's a plus. So 2 plus 2, that's That's 4. 3 plus 2 minus that's a plus again. So that's 5. 4 plus 2, 6. 1 minus 2 minus 1. 3 minus 2, that's 1. 3 minus 2, that's 1 again. So we have removed We have removed the center from what we had so that we can use the matrix. Remember, the matrix is used when the center is 0, 0. So this here, these are the coordinates of the center about the origin. So we can use the concept matrix times object to give us the image, where this is our matrix, this one. So we're going to take that matrix 0, 1, minus 1, 0 times the object at 0, 0. This is our object. So 4 minus 1, 5, 1, 6, 1. We are going to obtain the image at at 0, 0. All right. So that's it. Row by column, row, and so on. So 0 times 4, that's a 0, minus 1 times minus 1, that's positive 1. It was going to be 0 plus 1. 0 times 5, that's a 0, minus 1 times this, that's minus 1. 0 times 6, that's a 0, plus minus 1 times 1, that's minus 1. All right. Then we move on to this row. So that is 1 times 4, which is 4, plus 0 times minus 1, that's a 0. 1 times 5 to this column, 1 times 5, that's a 5, plus 0 times 1 is 0. To this column, 1 times 6, that's 6, plus 0 times 1, that's a 0 there. So we simply add, that's 1, 0 plus minus 1, that's minus 1, minus 1, 4 plus 0, 4, 5, 6. So this is what we have on the image, but take note, is the image of what? The center 0, 0. To have the image at our center minus 2, 2, we are supposed to add that center back that we removed before. So for center what? For center minus 2, 2, you add that center to the coordinates of the image. So our image is going to be taken as 1, 4, minus 1, 5, minus 1, 6. We add the center minus 2, 2. So matrices, they know that you are used to matrices, so that is why you see it's a lot of calculations. 1 plus minus 2, that's 1 minus 2 minus 1 minus 1 and minus 2, minus 3, minus 1 and minus 2, minus 3, 4 plus 2, 6, 5 plus 2, 7, 6 plus 2, 8. So that is our final answer, which is the image at center what? At center 2, 2. So these are the coordinates that you're going to plot. Minus 1 versus what? Minus 1 versus 6. All right. 3 versus what? Sorry, minus 3 versus 7, and minus 3 versus what? Minus 3 versus 8. If you are using matrix method, it's just a lot of a lot of calculations that you just consider, but that is the concept, guys. Matrix, I mean the given object, remove the center, use the matrix, then add the center, just like that. Use the matrix. Matrix times object is equal to image, but the image was for center 0, 0. So you must add the center to have the image at that given center. So that's how you apply matrix method, but we are being asked to draw that. So like I said, we could have done this one by constructions, which was easier. If you understand constructions, you can do that. But I'm just going to use matrix method for revision purposes, all right? So let's mark those points and construct. The first point, minus 1, 6. So this is the point that you're going to have, minus 1, 6. Mark that point. All right, negative 1 and 6, okay? So that's negative 1 here in between. That's negative 1 and 6. So that's here negative 1, 6. You mark that where negative 1 meets with what? 6. Okay, that is what you're going to have, the first point. Then we move on. Negative 3 versus 7. All right, sorry for that. Negative 3 versus 7. Negative 3 is in between here. 7 is in between what? 6 and 8. So negative 3 going up and 7 here, they meet at that point. Where they meet, that is where you're going to mark the point, negative 3 versus 7. And another one is what? Negative 3 versus 8. Negative 3 versus 8 here on top, negative 3 versus 8. So you're going to mark that point. So that is it. You join the points, forming what? The triangle. That is simply join the points. So that was it. You simply consider joining these points using what? Using the ruler. So that was the triangle that we are referring to, which is triangle what? T2, right? According to this information, that was our triangle T2 for that rotation that you're given. So that's triangle what? T2. Okay, so this is what? T2, just like that. Okay, so that was what you are given. You can simply apply the matrices in calculations. They are also allowed. All right, so we can just use proper constructions, which is another way to apply it. All right, so D, triangle T3 is the image of triangle T, and it has got these vertices. All right, item 1, draw and label triangle T3. So we've got 2 minus 1. All right, so let's have here 2 versus minus 1, 2, and minus 1 meet here. All right, that is 3 minus 3. So 3 is here and minus 3 is here. So these two, they meet. Where they meet here, you mark a point. 3 and what? Minus 3. And another point, all right, is what? 4 minus 3. So that is 4 versus minus 3, which is this one. So join, that is it. Simply going to join. That is forming the triangle that we are given, which is what? Triangle T3. All right, so this is our triangle what? T3. And after joining this, describe fully, right? This transformation, describe transformation M fully. The transformation M is the one that mapped T into onto what? Onto T3, triangle T to triangle T3. So let's check according to what we are given. All right, so this is C item what? D item 2. All right, so I'm just going to have it here, D item 2. So checking here, triangle T to triangle T3, we can see that these two triangles are exactly the same. We are talking about in terms of congruence or isometries. So these are isometries where you consider your answer can be a rotation, your answer can be the translation, or it can be a reflection. So you're going to expect three answers: rotation, translation, reflection. So let's join corresponding points and see what are we forming from the points, the corresponding points. This point to this point corresponds object to image. You join corresponding points. All right, so let's see. Joining these corresponding points like this. All right, you move on. Corresponding points, this one at the corner and this one at the corner there correspond. So you're going to join them corresponding like that. Okay, then we can also see this one, this end and this end here, they do also correspond. So you join them again like that. So we can see that we have formed lines that are parallel by joining corresponding points. We have joined this and formed lines that are parallel, but they are not of equal length. Guys, look at the distance from here to here. And this distance here, guys, they are not the same. So from that, where we've got parallel lines and unequal, it is a reflection which suits that one from the isometries. So the best answer was going to be a reflection. It is a what? A reflection. So you consider a reflection from what? Parallel lines of unequal length. So reflection, it has what? Equation of what? The mirror line. So you consider the equation of what? Mirror line. Our mirror line. So which maps, all right, which divides the object that we had to the image. Remember, this is our object here. All right, this is our object and this is our image. So this is our image. This is what you're considering. So we can see, guys, that the mirror line in this case from these lines that we've been joining the parallel lines is in between just half of that, which is in the what? This is in the x-axis. We've got equal distance from 2 to here. From 2 to here, we've got equal distance. So this is what in the x-axis. So the equation of mirror line is what? The x-axis, or you write the equation y is equal to what? Y is equal to 0. That is our mirror line. All right, or you can simply bisect using what? The compass. Bisect the line from this point and this point, bisect. You're going to see that the mirror line was going to be direct in the what? In the x-axis. But for a vertical line, you can easily judge by looking into the what? The line, the distance from the x-axis. So that is our mirror line. So we have described that. Then part E, draw and label triangle T4 on item 1, whose vertices are given here. So let's mark these points. 4 minus 1. All right, so we're going to mark the point 4 versus minus 1. 4 and minus 1, that's here. All right. Another point, 5 versus 1. 5 versus 1 on top. That's 5 and 1 here where they meet. You mark a point, 5, 1, and 6 versus 1. 6 versus 1 also here. So we're going to join. That's forming what? A triangle from those points. So here to this one, and this one to this one, this one to this one, like that. So that is your triangle, what? Your triangle T4, all right? Triangle T4. So this is our triangle T4. Then after that, describe on item 2 fully the transformation which maps triangle T onto what? T4. Triangle T onto triangle what? Onto triangle T4. So let's look into these properties. We can see that triangle T4 is an isometry. All right, we are referring to an isometry in this case. So meaning to say we are back to those same answers as before, that we had to consider rotation, translation, reflection, isometries. So in order for us to describe, we have to join corresponding points. So let's join corresponding points of triangle T to triangle what? T4. So corresponding points, if we're going to join in this case, we're going to take this one and this one, this, all right, this is, let me look for another color that I haven't, let's see, green. All right, so I'm going to use these ones in green, corresponding points like this, right? You join these corresponding what? Points. You do the same. This one corresponds to this one, and this one corresponds to this one. So we can see that from these, measuring this, corresponding these lines that we formed, you can see they do not meet these lines that we have formed in green. They do not meet, so they are parallel. And they are also equal. If you measure these lines, you're going to see that they are equal. So they are parallel and equal. Which transformation does that? Parallel and equal, that's a translation from the isometries. So rotation, they are not even parallel, they intersect. So the best answer there on E item 2, where you form parallel lines of equal length, they are of equal length, these parallel lines, it is what? A translation. So it is a translation. All right. Under a translation, you also need what? The translation vector, where translation vector is simply the image minus what? The object. In order for you to describe that, you're going to need what? Translation vector, which is image minus the object. Corresponding point on the image, you can use any one of your choice. This is our image triangle T4, right? T is our object from T to T4. So we need a point on T4 minus the point from triangle T. Anyone corresponding. So I'm going to use this one. 4 versus what? Minus 1 on the image. 4 versus minus 1 minus the object. 4 versus minus 1 corresponds to this point here, which is what? 2 versus 1. That's 2, 1. So you subtract the point 2, 1. Anyone that is corresponding from those lines that we're joining, all right? So this gives us the translation vector 4 minus 2, that's a 2, minus 1, minus 1, that's minus 2. So that's our translation vector 2 minus 2. All right, just like that. So you can be given such a condition describing of what? A transformation. So that was what you needed. All right, so this was it. This is what we had for this question of our transformation. The diagram was just going to be like this from the given information. mention. All right. Now let us consider another part, question number 11. All right. This is our statistics. 11, 30 girls were given a test in which the highest possible mark was 10, right? So the highest possible mark, these are marks and these are frequencies. So the total here is what? 30 of them. A, state on item 1 the model mark, the one with what? Highest frequency. Remember the model mark, the one with what? Highest frequency. So the highest frequency on these numbers is what? 7. So it corresponds to 3. So the model mark is what? Is 3. All right. Item 2, calculate the mean. So that's the mean can be determined from the sum of, you multiply frequency times the mark, where the mark is given as x. So the sum, frequency times the mark over the sum of what? The frequencies. So you multiply, guys, frequency times x frequency. You multiply these numbers simply 1 times 2 and so on. 1 times 1 plus, you move on, 2 times 2. You multiply here, 3 versus what? 3 versus 7, all right, plus 4 and what? 4 and 4. 4 times 4 plus 4 times what? 5 times 4, and so on and so on. Just multiply, combine everything, all right? 5 times what? 4 plus 6 versus what? 6 times 3, 7 times 2. All right, plus what? 8 and 1, 8 times 1, and so on. So you're simply going to combine that one, 8 times 1, 9 and what? 9 and 4, 9 times 4, and so on. All right, so that's 9 and 4, then 10 and what? 10 and 2. So that was it. Frequency times the number of marks over the total frequency, which is what? The number of students, learners, which is what? 30. So that was what you needed for the mean. So guys, just combine, add everything on top, multiply, add. You are using the calculator, so you can just combine everything. That was going to give us 158 over what? Over 30. Using calculator, it was going to be 5,266, like that. 3 significant figures. So this is going to be 5,27, right? To 3SF. Remember the instruction. If you are given any decimals, you can have them to 3 significant figures unless stated otherwise. All right, so that is what you're going to have. All right, find the probability on B. All right, so here we're done. Let us quickly consider the other section of our question. All right, so remember the total of everything is what? 30. So now you're given on the probabilities. All right, find the probability that a girl, you just consider one person just once, all right, chosen at random, scored item 1, 4 marks or less. The marks here, 4 or less, 4 going down. So how many people do we have in that interval? That is what? The frequency. You add these in that interval, all right? 1, that was going to be 1 plus 2 plus 7 plus 4. Who scored 4 or less? These are the ones who scored what? 4 or less, which were equal to 14. So the probability of scoring or scoring that 4 or less, all right, less than or equal to what? Less than or equal to 4. Numbers that are less than or equal to 4 is what? 14 out of the total of everything. Remember, there are 30 learners that we are given. So it's just going to be 30 and 14 over 30 reduced by 2, that's 7, by 2, that's 15. So this was going to give us what? 7 over 15. You can have it as a fraction as it is, all right? So that was it on item 1. Then item 2, more than what? 5 marks more than, greater than, so 5 is not included. We need more than what? 5 facing this side, all right? But less than what? 8. 8 is not needed. Less than 8, you consider what? 7 and what? 7 going down. So we need in between 6, in between that 5 and what? And 8. 5 is not included. 8 is not included. So in between that's 6 and what? 7. How many learners do we have? 3 and this one 2. So 3 plus 2, that's 5. So the probability of obtaining this is going to be 5 out of what? 5 out of 30. That was going to be our probability now, which is 1, 6, 1 over 6. If you reduce by what? Reduce by 5, you're going to obtain what? 1 over 6. So that was the consideration. Just once you consider the probability of that section. Then item C, where 2 girls now are considered, all right? 2 girls are selected at random. Find the probability that both scored at most 6 marks. At most, it means you are limited to that value 6. So that's less than or equal to 6. So we need marks less than or equal to 6 in terms of what? The marks less than or equal to 6. From that 6, it is included, all right, going down. So how many learners you add these numbers? These are the frequency, the number of learners, all right? So you're going to add 1 plus 2 plus 7 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3, which was going to give us a total of what? 21. So here, since they are saying 2 girls, you consider the probability of picking less than or equal to 6 as the first one is going to be what? 21. Out of these is 21 over 30. Then the second one, remember, we are talking about both where we are supposed to multiply. So you multiply to the second one, but as you have picked the first one, the second one, you subtract, it affects the number of girls, which will be what? 20. Out of the total is affected 30 minus 1, which is 29. So the totals are affected. You subtract 1 as just like without replacement, all right? So that's how you consider for both. So multiplying this, you were going to obtain 14 over what? Over 29, all right? Use your calculator there, all right? D, considering this part here too, to pass the test, all right, one has to get to score at least 5 marks. At least means greater than or equal to 5. That is at least greater than or equal to that. Find the probability that if 2 girls, there are 2 of them who are being picked here, are chosen at random, one passed the test and the other one failed. So let's consider passing those who passed the test, because you're given that they must have a mark greater than or equal to 5, at least 5. So how many obtained greater than or equal to 5? So you're considering from our diagram, the mark being what? 5, greater than or equal to 5 is included, 5 going up. These are the ones who passed the what? The test. So you add 4 plus 3 plus 7 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, the frequencies, you add these. So that was going to give us a total of what? 14. 16 are actually here. So this is what? 16, a total of 16. So these ones, they passed the test 16. So since we are talking about also those ones who failed, how many out of the 30? Remember, there are 30 girls. 30 minus 16, which is what? 14. So 14 what? Failed. So to find this probability on our part D, you're going to say that we need where there is a pass and a fail, a pass and a fail. So it's probability of pass, fail, plus pass, or it can be fail and pass, like that. So this is the condition that you're being asked there. So to pass, the probability to pass is what? How many are there? 16. Out of the total, the total is what? Is 30 times. To fail, it is what? 14. But because you picked the first one, it affects what? It affects the total. So it will be out of 29. You picked the first one. So for the second one, the total is what? Affected. Okay? Plus the probability to fail is what? 14 out of what? When you start to pick, you start with what? 30 as they are. But the moment you take the second one, the total is affected. So to pass, it's what? 16. But the total is affected just like the previous one. So that is how you're going to simply play around with this type of a question. So with this, we can evaluate. Since we have got the same denominators, simply multiply the numerators together so that you can simply add. All right, or you can just do whatever that you understand, guys. This is paper 2, so you can just multiply this one to this one. 112 over what? 435, plus you multiply this one to this one. 112 over 435, so that you can simply add the numerators. But like I said, it's paper 2. You can just use your what? Your calculators. So adding the numerators, it was going to be 224 over what? 435. That is our probability as per given question that we are being asked there. All right, so that is how questions can be given. As we can see here, there was no need, there was no drawing of anything. We are not given any drawing. It was just calculations on our question number 11. So let's look into the last question, which is what? Question number 12, considering that we must answer the whole of this question on a single sheet of what? Graph paper using, all right, this from our algebraic graphs. A, find the value of P and Q. So we are given here a quadratic equation given these two brackets. So P is where X is 0. Simply put a 0 and a 0 there. So Y is equal to 0 plus 1, that's 1. 5 minus 0, that's 5. So Y is equal to 1 times 5, which is what? 5. So that's the Y value corresponding to P. So P is equal to what? P is equal to 5. Q is when X is 3. So simply substitute into this equation when X is what? When X is 3. 3 plus 1, that's what? 4 times 5 minus 3, that's 2. So multiply 4 times 2, that's what? 8. So Q is equal to what? Q is equal to 8. So that was what you're given. And on part B, you now had to take 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on the x-axis, 2 centimeters, 2 units on the what? Y-axis. So the x-axis, they are saying 2 centimeters represents 1 unit. Each 2 centimeters, 1, 2, and so on. Then the y-axis, 2, 4, 6. 2 centimeters represents what? 2 units. Then draw this graph for x taken from minus 2 to 6. Draw this. So simply mark the points. This is x versus y, minus 2 versus minus 7. Minus 2 on x, 7 on y. So this is 7. Minus 2 and 7. Where they meet, you simply mark a point. Minus 2 and minus, so this is minus 7. Sorry for that. Minus 7 down here. Down here, negative 7. So that's minus 2 and minus 7. You mark a point. All right. Another one, minus 1 versus 0. Minus 1 versus 0. You mark that one again. So that's minus 1 versus 0 here. You mark the point. Minus 1 versus 0 in the x-axis. All right. Another one, 0 versus what? 5. Remember the part of P. So that's 0 versus 5. 5 is here. So that's 0 versus 5. You mark the point. 1 versus 8. 1 versus 8. So 8, we have it here. This is 1 versus 8. You mark the point. All right. 2 and what? 9. So that's 2 and 9 in between. 8 and 10. So that's 2 and 9. You mark the point. All right. 3 versus what? 3 versus 8. 3 versus 8. Y is 8 here. So 3 versus 8. 4 and 5, you do the same. 4 and what? 4 here and sorry, that's 4 and what? 4 and 5. Yes, 4 and 5. That's which means there's a point that I did not mark properly here. It was 0 versus 5. Okay, I just hope other you saw it, guys. Here, 0 versus 5. 5 is here, guys. This one. This is 5. So let's correct that 0 versus 5 here. All right. So 4 versus 5 was going to be here, straight to that 5 that you're given and going to 4. That's 4 versus 5. And another one was going to be what? 5 versus 0. 5, 0 in the x-axis. I mean, in the x-axis, that's 5, 0 here. Another one is 6 versus minus 7. All right, 6 versus what? Minus 7. Remember the minus 7 down here. Corresponding to this point. All right, so these are the points that you had. Then you need to join these points to form a curve. All right, and it must be smoothly drawn, but guys, here I'm not gonna properly do that, but let us just see from what we are given. It was gonna be something like this from here, this one to this point, to this point, to that point at the maximum, then you draw it coming back to this point, to this point, and to that point here, something like that. All right, so that was our curve that we're going to have a quadratic function from those points that you're given. So you write down its equation y is equal to that relationship that you were given here. Y is equal to this, so you have to indicate that. So that's y is equal to x plus 1 into 5 minus x, just like that. Okay, from that graph, use the graph here, use that graph. You find item 1, the maximum value of y. As we can see, it has a maximum value from the curve that we are given here. That is at the maximum what? At the turning point. At the turning point, that's where we've got what? The maximum value at the turning point. So the corresponding value of y there at the turning point was going to be equal to 9. If we draw a horizontal line at that turning point, it was going to correspond direct at what? At 9 there. That's the y value that we are having at the maximum point. So the maximum value is the value of y there. So y is equal to 9. All right, item 2 of this part C, item 2, the gradient of the curve. All right, at the point where x is 2, at a point where x is 2, at a point where x is 2, that's at the maximum value. If you check here properly, that's where the point where x is what? Where x is 2, it corresponds to that point at the maximum turning point, which is what? A horizontal line, guys. Remember that for a horizontal line, gradient is equal to what? 0. Gradient at the maximum turning point is 0. So here, the gradient is simply equal to 0. You cannot calculate or determine that. It's just equal to 0 at the turning point. Even if it was a minimum turning point, so gradient is equal to 0 at the minimum turning point, and at the maximum turning point, gradient is what? 0. All right. Then D, item 1, on the same axis, draw the graph of y is equal to x plus 2. That's a linear function, a straight line. So here we are talking about what? A straight line. You can even just use the double intercept method to draw this graph, all right? When x is what? 2, all right, the double intercept method, you take when x is 0 and when y is 0. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to what? Y is equal to 2. And when y is equal to 0, you place this on what? On y, 0. 0 is equal to x plus 2. So take to the other hand, minus 2 is equal to what? X. So x is minus 2. So this is what you're going to have from the double intercept method. Double intercept, or you can just use your proper table of values as you are used to with three values. But double intercept is just this condition. When x is 0, you find the value of y. When y is 0, you find the value of what? X. So mark these points 0, 2. That's 0, 2 here in the y-axis. You mark that point. And another one is what? Minus 2, 0. X is what? Minus 2. Y is 0. Minus 2, 0. Sorry for that. Minus 2, 0 here. X is minus 2. Y is 0. That is where you're going to have the point. So these 2 points, they are going to give us a straight line by joining those 2 points. All right. So join the 2 points using ruler. All right, using the ruler, join the 2 points that you have marked on your graph. That is this point and this point. You can see that you have formed what? A straight line. That is the one that you are being asked here to draw of y is equal to what? X plus 2. So you can write the equation y is equal to x plus 2 on that line. Just like that. And another question was to use that, all right, from what we had, the graph that we have just drawn, to estimate the solutions of the what? The equation. So x plus 1 into 5 minus x, that was the quadratic graph that we're given here, the one that we drew. And this one, x plus 2, is the straight line. So you simply consider the point of intersection because you're saying these 2 graphs, they are equal. So that solution is found at the point of what? Intersection, where the 2 graphs intersect. What are the values of what? The values of x. So you take the corresponding value of x to the what? Horizontal, where they intersect, the corresponding value of x to the what? To the horizontal, like that. So that is how you're going to simply consider those solutions on what? On this D item 2. All right. So to estimate the solutions, those are the values of x at the point of what? Intersection. So that's our D item 2. X is going to approximate to what? This is closer to comma 8. Negative, this is going to be negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Negative 0, 8 approximately. Negative 0, 8, or x is equal to, this one here is going to approximate here, which is 3, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, approximately to 3, 8. So those are the solutions according to your graph. You answer according to your graph from those points of intersection. So that is what we simply needed from this graph that we had drawn. All right, that is what you simply needed from this graph that we had drawn. So that was our question number 12, and that is the last part of our question to mark the end of the question paper. So when we do not understand, let us communicate. Like I said before, we can communicate from the community section, or we can work with the comment section where we do not understand, or a topic that we do not understand that we are requesting an explanation about that topic. So that is it, guys. Till we meet again.